Alright, you've read the title. We're gonna be reviewing a movie that, well, let's just say it's not great. It's not good at all. Alright, so, The Walkabout. This is, an old movie. It was, made, the 1970s? And it's based on a book. I just learned about this book and this movie from English class, and I'm reading the book because you have to read it for novel study, and it's like the first couple of pages in, the first thing you see is violations. Like, I felt assaulted reading it, and I was thinking, this is terrible. It was, let's say, it was very mature themes for a character that was very underaged. And then I found out there was a film adaptation of this book, and I thought, it can't show that. So me and a buddy of mine, me and my bestie Boo Zach, who I have a podcast with, Two Brits in a Cup. You should check it out for real. Me and him, we sit down and we watch this film. We watched this film solely because the book shocked us so much, and we couldn't die peacefully if we didn't know that this film had terrible things in it. So, here's my review on the Walkabout movie that was released in the fucking 90s, because you care about that, don't you? So, this film starts off a lot separately from the book. I think the book starts off, they're already in where they're meant to be. The loose plot of the book, at least from what I've gathered, is there's people, they're in the Outbacks of Australia with all the scary spiders and stuff, and well, they have to survive in the Outback, pretty much. That's a basic synopsis plot of what's happening in the book. The book starts where they're already in the Outback. They're all, hungry and fucking want to die. But the movie doesn't start like that. The movie starts in just Australian suburbs, or an Australian city or something. And it's just a solid 6 minutes of Mongolian throat singing from some Tibetan monks or some shit. And it's just showing us a lot of stuff. And I would tell you what the stuff is, but it has no relevance to the plot whatsoever. You see, a man walking with a suitcase. You see a woman chopping veggies. And then you see our main character, who doesn't have a name, by the way. They didn't give a single name to any of these characters. The book did. The book gave them names. So the movie just named them girl, white boy. And yes, they do label him in the credits as white boy. That's not me being misogynistic. That's what they labeled it. It was the 1970s. They didn't care. So this starts off with a bunch of shit that you genuinely would think, oh, this is important to the plot. It doesn't come up later, so I'm gonna skip past it. About 3 millenniums into this movie, we finally get to hear dialogue. And, our two main characters, boy and girl, who I will be labeling as their names in the book, which is Mary and Peter. I don't think that's their name in the movie, because the movie doesn't know their names. And I don't mean that in they don't give them names. I mean, they call the sister character, they call them Mabel and also Gretel. But I don't know. I hear those two names coming from the brother character, whose name just isn't spoken at all. Of, him complaining about, oh, it's the Outback. And then he says those two names on two separate occasions, when, talking to the sister character, which makes you think that the sister's name is Gretel or Mabel, but it's not, because she doesn't have a name, it's just Gal. But I digress. So they're gonna have a picnic in the Australian outback, which doesn't make sense, but it's the 1970s and they don't really care, so I'll give it a pass. So I was shocked to see that they filmed like a little boy. They had two actors to play the two children. One was 16 and one was 8. Yes, that comes up and is important later in the review, I swear. So the girl, who I'm going to call Mary, because that's her name in the book, she's setting up picnic stuff. Peter, the little boy, he is playing with his, train or, plane or car. It's not quite seen what it is. All we know is that he breaks it and he, complains to his dad, who's, in a car, just, not looking at his kids while they're in the Australian outback. He's just, doing a crossword or something. So this kid, he puts, the toy plane car, whatever it is, away. And then he has, a water gun. And they have they directly show the kid pointing the gun at his face. It's in his mouth. And his dad is, looking at him through binoculars and not, caring for his child. He's just looking at him through binoculars as he sees him put a water gun in his mouth. And I don't know it was a water gun to begin with. So me and Zach were very, very confused on why this small child suddenly had the sudden urge to kill himself. But it shows up later that, it's a water gun. He, playfully shoots at it like a plane driving by. And he's, going pew pew. And then the dad whips out a revolver and just starts shooting his son. Yes, there's a real thing that happens. And you may be wondering, oh, why does he do that? Why don't you specify that? The movie doesn't tell you. The movie just shows the dad smile at his kid, whips out a revolver and starts shooting at him. And at first I thought it was, it's the 1970s. You can get away with a lot more in the 1970s than you can now. So showing that could just be seen as, playful father-son dynamics. That was very clearly not the case, as Mary, the sister, hides Peter and they crawl away together, making both me and Zach very confused. Because why is this dad just shooting his children? It's absurd. But that's not the craziest part. The crazy part is after he fails to kill his children, he blows up his car and then kills himself. By the way, all of this is not explained at all. Not a single reasoning. They don't show why he would do this. He just does it. It's mainly to kickstart the plot, because they didn't start it where the book starts it, and, for a book about the Australian outback, they need the characters to be in the outback. So the dad's dead. Mary comes back, sees that, the car's exploded, it's all gone. She picks up some stuff, and then her and Peter go out into the outback to survive. There we go. Our plot started. We're now where the book started. And this is the movie's greatest mistake, is that it's not very good with the source material. At all. It's not great with the source material. It doesn't adapt it well. It just saw, the back of the book and just went, oh, we're doing this. And so it did that and didn't read the book whatsoever. So if you're watching the movie expecting to get a faithful adaptation of the book, it's not that kind of movie, my friend. It's really not. It doesn't even get their names right or get their name consistent, but I digress. Everything after that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry to say this, and I'm saying this with full seriousness. The only thing that makes sense in this movie is the dad shooting his kids. That's the only thing that makes sense. Everything else is beyond me. Now, maybe this movie is too smart for me. Maybe it's too mature for me. But, no, I didn't understand a single thing that was happening. But my basic grasp of what was happening was they were outside in the Outback. That's it. I didn't know the plot. I didn't know what they were saying. They were saying English words that I understood, but I don't know how they contributed to the plot. Because this movie, it wasn't very well written. Or maybe it was so well written that my dumb, smooth brain couldn't comprehend or understand it. But I digress. They find their way to a lake. Well, it's not really like a lake, it's more like a tiny little pond next to a tree. And, they go to eat what's on the tree. There's berries on the tree. And, they sleep there for the night. And then when they wake up in the morning, they look up and they see a dude in the distance. And by the way, while they were sleeping, there was this vision thing of the dad coming back to life. Which, the reason why I didn't mention it before is because it doesn't come up later either. This movie has a problem where it introduced things and then they never expand it. It's just here's a thing, anyway, and then it moves on. So I don't know, padding the runtime maybe. It's just trying to be oh, is he gonna come back and try and kill his kids again? No, because it shows on later that a tribe ate him. Yes. I don't know what the rating of this film was, but it should have been R-rated, seeing how dark it is and how messed up it gets later. So, they see a guy, and, he comes up to them, and this is a Aborigine. We don't really specify his age, but I guess he's probably around the same age as Mary. And he doesn't speak English. He speaks his own language, which is kind of the plot of the book. In fact, this character shows up in the book and they make an excuse to be very, very racist, but, oh well, it was the 1950s when the book came out or something. Don't quote me on that. But the movie is less racist with it. So at least that's good. They do show that he can't, speak English. So the two main characters who are in the book, they're meant to be British. So two white guys, not white guys, but two white people trying to talk to an Aborigine in English, even when it's clearly stated that he doesn't speak English. And before we say, but they might not know that. No, it's clear how they show it is they show that he can't understand them. So it's pretty normal or standard to have them be oh, he doesn't understand us. Let's maybe use a form of hand signals. They try and say water, which is a pretty easy thing to, say with your hands. You just make a drinking motion. You don't have to speak English, especially when the person you're trying to speak to doesn't understand you. But eventually he understands, and he puts a straw in the ground and starts drinking. So they follow this dude because they're alright, this guy who I'm not gonna say his name or what his name is in the book because it's extremely racist. So I'm just gonna call him Aborigine. So Aborigine, he walks off. He goes back to where his tribe is, where his people are, and Peter and Mary, they go and follow him because this guy knows what's happening. He knows how to survive. We're gonna follow this guy because he seems smart. So there's a brief little moment where they're all like hanging out, and well, Mary's still trying to talk to him, even though he doesn't understand them. And then Peter, who, can't believe I'm saying this, but is the smarter out of the two, even though in the book he's very clearly stated to be the more immature and playful one. He's like playing with toy soldiers, or like toys and stuff, and he's showing it to Aborigine, and the Aborigine doesn't understand toys. He's been raised in the Outback, he's been raised to survive, not to play with toys and all that stuff. So, as the Chad he is, he just tosses it away. He goes, I don't give a fuck about your fucking soldier thing, you can piss off. But, you know, they have a nice bonding moment, where Aborigine is, like, putting Peter up into a tree. Obviously not in a threatening way, in, like, a playful way. They're both laughing about it. And Peter is without a shirt, which, yes, is important to the story later. He's without a shirt, and he's put on a tree, and we see later that that tree has poison ivy. So we just get this really gross scene of just showing this, like, 8-year-old child's back, and it's just, like, there's just dead skin on it, and it's red, and then the Aborigine is, like, rubbing some form of oil on it to, like, heal it or something. It's really gross, and I would show you, but I'm gonna spare you with that. Just know that it's disgusting, and it's far from the most disgusting thing seen in this film. So anyway, we cut to where the car used to be. It's all up in flames, and the Aborigines tribe, you know, his tribe is going to the car to, you know, steal stuff from it, see if there's food in there. And you clearly see the dad, and he's on a tree, and like I said before, his, like, eyes are missing or some shit. He's dead. He's clearly dead, and they're clearly gonna eat him. And let's be honest here, Mary and Peter are probably gonna eat him too, because it's the Outback and they're hungry. So, that's pretty dark. That's pretty morbid, gang. That's quite morbid. But, you know, just like a lot of things in this movie, it doesn't matter, because the movie just cuts from one thing to another thing to another thing, and it doesn't expand upon it. It just shows you, it goes, this stuff happened, and you go, oh, okay, expand? Nah, you're good. You get the point. And then moves on. So, we just see a whole bunch of just naked people just, like, climbing on a car for, like, 8 minutes. And this is where my only true complaint about this film comes in, right? And it's not of its stupid plot, it's not the fact that it makes no sense, it's the fact that it has this weird obsession with showing the nude. And it makes sense for a story like this, and it makes sense to show the tribal members like that, because that's how it is. It gets a lot worse later, and it gets a lot worse when I have a lot to say about that. But I don't understand why they focus so much time on people not wearing clothes than they do on the actual plot of the movie. I didn't watch this movie to see that. I watched this movie to see two kids surviving in the Outback. Let's be honest here. You can do a lot with that story premise of just two people in the Australian Outback. Easy, simple survival story. And you can still have the Aborigine there to, like, help them out. And you can have this sweet interracial, like, equality story happening, right? You don't need to show me, like, 13 minutes of just naked people climbing on a car, and you just zoom in on all the women, and you zoom in on all their bits. I'm like, I don't want to see that, and it's gross. Like, I get some people are into that, but it's not what I want to see in a survival movie, and it gets a lot worse later. Trust me, it gets a lot worse. Anyway, so the rest of the film after this is just them hanging out with the Aborigine. Peter tells a story to the Aborigine. Tells a story of, I don't even know what the story was about, to be honest here. I felt numb at this part of the movie because I'm summing this down, right? This movie is just, here's a notable thing that happens. Now here's like 30 minutes of nothing. Just like pure nothing. Just like, you can see that stuff's happening, but it's not stuff that you care about. And it's not good filmmaking, to be honest here. You could like cut this movie and just make it a short film. You don't need to make a movie out of this. I get why you'd make a movie out of the book, because the book, it's not like that lengthy of a book, but you can probably, just have a perfect one-to-one adaptation of the book to a movie and make it not a like movie runtime. But it just feels like they're trying to get a plot. They have a whole segment, by the way. They have a whole segment where it shows completely new people. And it just shows just 15 minutes of guys just absolutely getting soaked over a woman. And I get it's the 1970s. And let's be honest, a lot of like 1980s, 1990 movies even show that. But it's 15 minutes of that, and it doesn't come up later in the slightest. It's just there. It's just 15 minutes of like 5 dudes like walking up to a girl and like looking like in her shirt, like see her bra, and it's like, ooh, it's almost a boob. I can't believe it. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's absolute cinema. And it's just wasting my time and padding the runtime. If your movie needs filling in it that makes 0 sense to the rest of the movie, don't make it a movie. Make it a short film. Those exist for a reason. But I digress. The next scene I want to talk about is one that's not pleasant. So, remember at the start of the video how I said the book showed interesting things involving characters who are underage. And no, I'm not talking about incest. That doesn't happen that we know of. Let's be honest here, knowing the author, he probably wanted to write some of that in there. And this movie came out before stuff like that was illegal. It was completely legal to own that in the time where it came out, so they got backlash, but they didn't get legal trouble. They show, I think it felt like years of a 16-year-old girl, a real one. It wasn't just in the context of the movie. The actor was 16, just completely go butt-ass nude, and then jump in a pool and start like swimming in it. And it cuts from that to the Aborigine and Peter like killing kangaroos and shit. And it's like going back and forth and back and forth. And the director said, oh, it's how different their lifestyle. And, the Aborigine is, he lives his life hunting things. And then the Mary, or Gal, as he likes to put it, is used to swimming and stuff, and yada 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 yada. It's not like, get a grip, mate. Like, you can easily show that without me having to see every nook and cranny of not only a character I don't care about, because I'm gonna be honest here, I hated every single one of these characters, and it wasn't because they were unlikable, it wasn't because they sucked, it was because none of them get development in this movie at all. They are just they're not even like two-dimensional characters, they're just not characters, they're just humans, they're NPCs if you must. They do nothing. The movie has no depth to it. It's just things are happening. Now clap, absolute cinema. Look, look, you see a boob, or monkey brain, and it's just not, it's not anything. It's not cinema, it's not good. This isn't a movie, this is just thing happen. I'm gonna be honest here, I'm probably forgetting a lot of things that's happened in this movie. That's how much nothing happens in this movie. It's so bad. It upset me to a point where I had to make this video. Fuck. This book, this movie, it's dodgy, but I'm gonna give credit to the book. It does, make things unnecessarily in detail, but it doesn't go that in detail. The director wanted you to see parts that you didn't even know existed on the female body. And you're showing it on a minor. Fuck's sake. And now that I say this, there's probably gonna be people that either A, get curious, or B, just dodgy people that are just there like, oh, I'm gonna watch this movie because I like survival. Oh, look, there's a boob. Oh no, my pants are slipped. But I don't even think it's worth it if you are a child predator, because the movie is so goddamn boring. When I saw the dad shoot at his kids, I thought, mate, this is absolute cinema. This is gonna be the most unhinged, 70s shit I've ever seen. And then after that, it's all painfully boring. Painfully. It's not even ironically boring. It's not even things that are boring unless you have mates along. I was watching this with Zach, and we both just couldn't fathom how boring it was. We just looked at when I think it was halfway through the movie. I paused it, and we both just said, yeah, this kind of sucks, man. This is kind of a buns movie. It sucked. And I'm gonna be honest here. Showing a boob doesn't make it better. It's not storytelling, it's just porn. You've just shown me porn. I didn't come here to watch that. If I wanted to watch that, I've got plenty of videos on the internet to watch that. I don't want to watch that when I'm watching A, children, and B, a survival story. I get why you would have to include that, because, survival gets tough. But I don't want to see every nook and cranny of it. It's disturbing, and it made me uncomfortable throughout the entire thing. And it was 10 minutes of it. It was 10 minutes. That is an absurd amount of time to show that. You already know the director was being there we need reruns. Sorry, we didn't like that take. Let's do another take for the 1,000,000th time. But let's get this movie over with. So basically, they show this place where Aborigines make pots, or they make statues or something. It doesn't come up later. It just shows them doing it. And then it cuts back to our main three characters, doing what they've been doing for the past, fucking 80 minutes of movie, which is absolutely jack shit. But they finally make it to grass, they finally make it to land, and they're all happy for it. And then they find, this shed where I suppose it's meant to be the place where the Aborigines made the pots, which I guess that makes it relevant to the story, but I didn't need to see 5 minutes of Aborigines making pots. I didn't come here to watch pottery, I came here to watch survival. But yeah, the Aborigines shows Peter a road, an actual car road, and then they come back, they go out to sleep in the shed, and Mary says, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna leave the Aborigine behind. And then Peter goes oh, why are we leaving him behind? And then she's there well, he's got nothing to do out there, this is his home, yada yada yada. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't care remotely. They tried to have character development where Mary was like drinking water from like a tap or something in the shed, and then the Aborigine says water, like in English. And I guess that's cool, I guess. But you didn't show anything to make me care about him doing that. You didn't show me Mary teaching, like, the Aborigine how to speak English and the Aborigine just not getting it. You didn't give me any room to care. All you did was show me boob, which I'm not complaining, although I am, because it's not storytelling. You know what you should have done? You should have skipped out on all the Mongolian throat singing with pointless shit from the start of the movie. Just cut all that out, and you show us why the dad wanted to shoot his kids. Then, when instead of showing us like 10 minutes of underaged boob, you instead show us actual character development from all the characters, showing how they grow in the Outback, showing Mary actually trying to teach the Aborigine how to speak English so they can understand each other. And then, maybe, just maybe, the Aborigine saying water in English would make me feel things. Because it didn't. I was just like, oh, he speaks English now. That's cool. And to top off this movie of nothing, they show, when they're about to go to bed, they see another Aborigine. He's like covered in paint, and he's like dancing around their shed. And I don't understand it. Basically, like, Mary comes out of the shed and she's topless. You can see the entire package, which is terrific. That was so needed for this scene. And then it's just him, like, this Aborigine that we haven't met throughout the entire movie. He's covered in paint, and he's just, like, dancing around, and he has his tongue out, and it's so weird. We, like, saw him, we're like, what's this goober doing? And he just, like, dances, like, around. He, like, follows Mary with, like, his tongue out. Mary, like, puts on a shirt, thank fuck. But, like, he's just, like, wandering around. And just, it shows in the film that he's doing this until nightfall, because Peter and Mary are in the shed at night, and he's still outside, he's still just dancing. And you don't know why he's dancing, you don't know why he's there, you don't know if this is the Aborigine we've known throughout the movie, which he clearly isn't, because he has face paint, and the Aborigine we know doesn't have face paint, just outside with his tongue out, waving it like some freaky motherfucker. And then they go to sleep, which, I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand how they could sleep with that outside. If I slept, I couldn't sleep knowing that there was just some freaky motherfucker outside, just like dancing. I couldn't sleep with that. But they wake up, they go outside, and they see the freaky dancing dude just like crucified on a tree, dead. And I don't understand why. Like, why are you showing me this? That was the most, like, useless character out of all these characters. It just, like, he danced, he made the main characters uncomfortable, and then he died. Like, he had 10 minutes of movie time. And then they walk out, they walk to the road, and then they, like, walk and they see land, they see, like, civilization, and then, like, Peter asks, like, oh, where's Dad? And then Mary goes, like, oh yeah, Dad'll be fine. Which is just, like, why are you lying to him? It doesn't make sense for your character to lie to him, because now this kid, instead of going, oh, Dad's dead, and he was kind of crazy, he's just gonna be like, when's Dad coming back? He's dead. Just tell him that his dad is dead. You still have a mum. You're not orphans. I believe the person cutting veggies was their parent, their, like, motherly figure, but I don't understand why. In fact, talking about the veggie lady, he comes back at the very end of the movie, and I don't understand. It's just like a dude that, like, comes up to her and they kiss, and they're like, oh, maybe that's why the dad tried to shoot his kids, is because, you know, his wife and or girlfriend is cheating on him. But it's never shown, and I'd like to have known that at the start of the movie, so I'm not laughing at this dad trying to kill his kids. Because it was unhinged as fuck. But, yeah, they, like, talk about nothing related to the plot. And then, you know, the kids, they go out into, like, civilization, and they, like, ask some dude. They're like, yo, where are we? How can we get to blah, 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 blah. And the dude's like, get off my fucking lawn, go piss off, back to shit. And then they piss off. And then you see, like, one last scene where it shows, like, a flashback to them in the Australian outback with the Aborigine. And wouldn't you know it, all of them are naked. You see all of it. You see not only the 16-year-old, but you also see the 8-year-old little boy and all of it. It's upsetting. It's not necessary to the plot, especially not that part. At least I could understand the swimming part, even though it made me uncomfortable and it was way too long. At least it, like, made some form of sense why the character would do that. That part was just unnecessary. It was just showing it for the sake of, 1970s movie, Tee-3. I was like, why? Why? Why are you showing me this? So, I think, as you can tell by the tone of my voice and how I'm talking about this movie, I didn't like it. It's not just I didn't like it, it might be the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not bad in plot, it's just it doesn't have a plot. It tries to have a plot, and it only has a plot like certain moments of the movie. So, if you just cut out all the unnecessary bullshit, all the stuff where it shows, you know, all the people not clothed, if you just cut all that out, just cut out that really weird part of, like, the dudes trying to, like, assault a woman. Like, just cut all that out. Actually focus on your main plot and focus on what's actually fucking happening. It would be greatly appreciated. And maybe I'm dumb, right? I'm not the smartest fucking bulb in the box. But if you could describe to me the plot of this movie, and don't just say, oh, they're in the Australian outback and they need to survive. Like, I want a detailed synopsis on this plot. And if you can watch this and understand what's happening, I will be baffled. Because if you're the fucking closest thing to making sense your movie has is a dad shooting his son for no reason, then your movie doesn't make sense. And your movie's just bad. Fuck me. Okay. So, there you go. That's my thoughts on this movie. Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Yeah. There you go. Bye-bye. Bye.